Welcome to Sherry's Kitchen. My name is Sherry, for those of you who don't know me. Some call me Mama D and some call me Nana. But since you're here, come on into my kitchen and join me today. Well, today is our third video on the Instant Pot, traditional cooking in a modern kitchen. And so today we're going to be using our Instant Pot to cook our greens, some beans, and rice. And that is going to be our topic for today. So for those of you who are cooking traditional foods, this is a very simple way to cook them, to have them ready for your family when they get home. Alrighty, we are going to be doing, as I said, greens, grains, and beans. We're going to start off with our rice first because that takes long to cook, okay? And so the ratio for rice is 1 to 1. 1 cup of water to 1 cup of rice, okay? So we're going to put our 1 cup of water in the pot. Now I did put it on saute to warm up everything. It tends to build pressure faster when everything is warmed, okay? And we're going to put our bouillon, a vegetable bouillon cube in there for flavor. Now remember, you don't have to do that, especially if you're cooking your rice to be used later on for maybe some rice pudding, or you want to season it for other type of dishes. So usually I like to try to cook my rice plain, but today I'm going to use a bouillon cube and I'll use it in savory dishes, okay? So we have our bouillon cube in, and we're going to just move that around so it gets nice and broken up. And then we're going to put our rice on. And right now it's still on saute mode because it's just getting everything warmed up. We have our rice, we're using brown basmati rice, and we rinsed it real good. And then also as you're rinsing it, make sure you take out any excess hulls that might be in there. Some rice comes very clean and some don't. So here's our 1 cup of rice. I'm going to pour that into our Instant Pot. Now remember, I'm using my 3-quart Instant Pot for the rice, but if you have a larger family and you have more people to feed, or if it's for potluck or something like that, you want to try and use a larger amount. But I'm just doing 1 cup today, okay? So now I'm going to turn it off, cancel, and then I'm going to put my lid on. Remember the music? If you have questions, we covered a lot of things in lesson 1 and 2, okay? And so as you turn it on, you'll hear that music twice to tell you it's engaged. And then remember, you want to put your valve here. You want to put that on sealing, okay? So we put it on sealing. Then we're going to take and set our pressure. We're going to put it for 22 minutes, okay? So we just put pressure, cook, and 22 minutes. And as soon as it's set, you will hear the beep, and it'll start building the pressure, and then also start the process of the 22 minutes, and then it'll be an NPR, which we told you before. NPR is natural pressure release. And one of the reasons why you do that with rice is because, I don't know if you remember cooking it on the stove, it spurts and have a lot of foaminess come out of it. Well, you don't want that spurting out of your valve, okay? So I don't know if you heard that music, but that tells you everything is set to go. So while this is cooking, we're going to start on our next item, and that's going to be beans. All right, now we're going to start our second recipe, which is beans. Now, beans can be done 2 ways, either soaked or dry. Now, if you have difficulty digesting beans, it's good if you can soak them first. If you are all right with the beans, just putting them in dry, that's okay. So we're going to do the soaked method today, but if you have difficulty, you want to add 10 minutes to whatever it says for the for the soaked, okay? So it's 25 minutes for the soaked beans, and you add 10 more minutes for the dry beans, okay? And so we're going to, first, we are going to put onions and garlic in this particular bean recipe. And so I put it on the saute button, and that's what it's on right now. And we're going to put a little bit of oil, olive oil. Now, normally you'd wait until it says hot on the front panel, but you can do it a little bit earlier. It's been sitting a little bit, so it's a little bit warmer than just starting. Okay, so we're going to put some olive oil, some chopped onions, absolutely popping. And you're just going to cook these for a few minutes until they turn a little translucent. What cooking does for the onions, it brings out the flavor. And so when this is almost done, I'm going to add the garlic. Okay? Now I'm using frozen garlic. You can either do it yourself. You can, when you have a lot of garlic from your garden, you can just blend them up and put them in cubes. But this one I purchased, okay? So we're going to put our garlic in. Now, you don't have to saute in oil. If you're on an oil-free diet, you can just use water, okay? So this will be fine either way. But sauteing them again, like I said, brings out the flavor a lot better, okay? We're not going to go too much longer because it's going to be cooked anyway. Sorry for the noise. Alrighty, now we have to take our beans, our soaked Great Northern beans is what we're doing today. And then we're soaking in the water. And we're going to put them in. We're going to mix them up. All right. Now I'm going to put in enough water at least to cover an inch or two over the beans. Again, if you have any questions of how to use the Instant Pot, video number one gives more instruction, and video number 2, we actually cooked a few foods. So you can go back and look at those videos if you like to help you out if you have any more questions. Or post your comments in the bottom in the comment section, okay? So we're going to put our water in now. So we have our onion, our garlic, and our beans. And we're going to put enough water in, at least to be an inch or two over the beans. Now remember I said in one of the videos, without water, you cannot grow or gain pressure inside. So you have to make sure you have enough water in your pot so that it doesn't burn, okay? So everything's mixed up. We're going to put it on our lid. And again, hear the music. And then we turn it. Alrighty, now we're going to set it for 25 minutes because these are the soaked beans. But first we're going to cancel the saute, and then we're going to do pressure cook, and then we're going to do it for 25 minutes. Oops, one too many. Alrighty? Alright, so also with this particular pot, remember I mentioned last time, this is already set for sealing. If I didn't want sealing, I'd press this button here, okay? So every model is a little bit different. So make sure you look at your instructions that come with your particular pot. Okay, so we'll be back with our next item. All right, we're back. And now we're going to do our last item, which is kale greens. Now, you look at all those greens and you think, wow, we're going to have a lot of greens. But remember, with greens, they cook down to almost half the amount or sometimes even less. But kale is a little bit more hearty, and you'll get more than you would if you did spinach or Swiss chard. So I'm using my 8-quart Instant Pot to prepare these in, but it's going to cook down to hardly nothing, okay? So I put the Instant Pot on my saute mode, and that means the pan is heating up, and I'm going to put my seasonings in first. So again, we're going to put our oil in, and then we're going to put in our onion. And you can put in whatever you're used to using to season your greens. You don't have to use what I use. You might want to put some peppers even, or even some jalapenos in your greens, okay? So I'm also going to put in some garlic. And the pan is just slowly, well, usually you want to wait till you hear a sizzle. That's when you know it's going to cook and not absorb the oil, okay? But again, like I said before, you can do this oil-free and just use water if you choose to. It'll be just fine. And we also want to use, again, a bouillon cube. You don't have to. You can have other seasonings of your taste. So we're going to cook those for a little bit. So I'm gonna let these get a little tender so they get a little bit translucent. And then we're gonna put our greens in. So I'll be back when that's done, okay? To show you the next step. Okay, so we've sauteed our onions, we put in our garlic, and we also put in 1 bouillon cube. Now what I'm gonna do is add some water, about a cup. And this is also gonna come to a boil. And we're gonna put in, we're gonna put the greens in until they get they shrink, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do now. As they shrink, they'll fit more better in the pot. Alrighty? So I'm gonna put all these in, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you how it cooked down. And then we'll start the process, the pressure process. Okay? So I'll be right back when this is all cooked, so you don't have to watch and wait for this to happen. I'll bring you back, okay? Alrighty, I'm going to be continuing to cook these greens down, and as you can see, they have come down a mighty long way. They were all the way to the top, and now we are cooking them down till they're all wilted, and then we're going to put them on pressure. So I wanted you to see how far down they went. This can feed maybe 4 to 6 people once it's all done. Okay? So I'll bring you back when I'm getting ready to put it under pressure. All right, our greens have cooked down, but I'm noticing they need a little bit more water. So we're going to put a little bit more water in because we don't want to get the burn mode or the burn signal, because it will tell you if there wasn't enough water and the food has burned. So we're going to put about another, maybe a cup of water in, and I'm going to look and see how much is on the bottom. And I think I need a little bit more, just to be on the safe side, okay? Better be safe than sorry. And as you saw, I cooked down a lot. So now when you're cooking greens that you purchased, for these particular ones I purchased in the store. But when I do my fresh greens out of the garden, especially after the frost hit them, they're sweeter and they're more tender. But when you buy them in the store, you may have to cook them a little bit longer. So we're going to do the 7-minute cycle. But normally, if I do them from the garden and they have had enough frost hit them, I will do them for maybe 5 minutes or less, okay? Depending on how tender they got from the frost, okay? But right now, we're going to be doing this at 7 minutes. And the one thing about greens is that sometimes there are some people that like them real tender, like melt in your mouth tender, and then some people like a little chew. So that's what you're going to have to gauge as far as time, how long to cook it, because you may like yours different than the way I like mine. Okay, so we're going to put the top on. The saute button just went off. So we're finished sauteing. The lid is on. Now the lid is locked. And we're going to put it on sealing. And now we're going to put into our pressure. Oops, I have to cancel. The saute, cancel that one. And then we're going to do our pressure cook. Where are you, pressure cook? Saute pressure, it's right here. Why won't it go on? Alrighty, you saw me struggling there trying to find which button. In this model, it doesn't say pressure cook. This one is, you use the manual mode, okay? So we're going to put manual, and this is going to go for 7 minutes, so we're going to reduce that. So sometimes things happen and you got to make adjustments, okay? 7 minutes, okay, is what we're going to do these for. And again, like I said, if they're not tender enough for me, I can put them right back under pressure and then start them all over again, add maybe a minute or two. You hear the beep? It's showing that it's starting, okay? All right, so all 3 of our items are in the pots, and now our rice is ready to open up and see what we got, okay? So it did an NPR, naturally releasing the pressure or the steam, and then we're going to open it up and see what we have, okay? Once that little float valve goes down, it's safe to open it, okay? And remember, always open it away from your face so you don't get burned. And now we're going to, this pot doesn't get really, really hot, but you may want to use a cloth, okay? And so I'm fluffing the rice up now, okay? It's all fluffy and ready to go. And so I can either use it in a casserole or serve it just like this, however you serve your rice at home. Oops. But anyway, instant rice in your Instant Pot. All right, our greens are all done according to the time we set, and we're going to do a QPR. Remember what that was? Is I'm going to release from this valve from sealing to venting. Okay? So what we do on the safe side, you're going to cover it, and then you're going to push the valve to venting. Okay? So see all that steam? Not coming at you. Alrighty? So I'm going to come back when the steam is all released. Okay? All right. Our steam has all been released. The floating valve is down, and now we can safely open. Return, and remember, we open away from our face. All righty. It looks good to me from here. This is the test. Wow, feels tender. Okay, I'm going to test a little piece. Let's see. It's good. It's tender, and it's good. And now from here, you may want to add a little salt, a little more, or any other season that you like, but it's nice and tender and good. See? There goes our greens. Alrighty. All right, so we're finished with that product. And the next one we're going to look at is our beans. All right, our last item is finished, the Great Northern beans. So the float valve is down, the pressure is released. Now we're going to open. And we're going to remember to open away from ourselves. All that steam has been built up in there, and that's what you want to make sure you put it away from you. Okay? Now, you want to see. Now, usually beans come with liquid anyway when you purchase them, and they came out really nice and tender. Alrighty, so I'm going to show you how tender they are. Okay, I'm going to take a couple beans, put it on here, and smash them. See how creamy they are? That's what you want. Okay? So these beans can now be put into a soup, a stew, a casserole, or just season and put and serve them like that. However you use your beans, this is one way that you can get your beans quick and on the table. So I hope you enjoyed these videos today on the greens, grains, and beans. And if you have any questions, put them down into the comment section. And otherwise, I want you to like when you look at it, share it, and hit that notification bell because we're still going on. We still have more to show you. And so we'll see you next week in our next video. So bye-bye.